taking an inquiry approach has really changed the way that my classroom runs, the way it feels, and the way that the kids are connected, and just the way that they are such better thinkers.
So why do we do inquiry-based learning? Well, overall, inquiry-based learning is going to empower students to become active learners, critical thinkers, problem solvers, and lifelong learners to really prepare them to navigate an ever-changing world. It fosters those thinking skills by prompting students to ask questions. So you're going to see a lot of different questioning techniques within our schools. It helps them develop problem-solving skills so they can learn to solve problems independently or collaboratively, as well as really encouraging collaboration and communication because it involves group work, it involves discussions, and the sharing out of the different findings that they have.
I think it's so important to give children those opportunities, to give them time to ask questions and wonder and be curious. This is our Sprague Wonder Windows.
I want you to really think about what you're noticing, what you're seeing. So if you look at the trees now, what are you guys noticing?
It's very wet outside.
For me, I think it's really important to give the kids purpose. So I feel like before I was teaching with inquiry, it was very much, of course, it was all aligned with standards, it was all the curriculum that we're using, but there wasn't a lot of connection to what we were doing. So, I felt like, okay, here's our ELA lesson, here's our math lesson, here's our social studies lesson, and they may not even have anything to do with one another.
We're going to do one of our asking question activities to get our brains warmed up before we move into asking questions about a book.
Why is the hippo there? How did the hippo get in the street in the first place? How did this happen? Where is that place?
Lots of really, really good questions today. Super interesting picture too, right? It was serious, right? There are a lot of serious pictures, but kind of silly because it's a hippo in the middle of the street, but kind of not because you can tell that there's something serious going on.
What we do is we sort of start with an essential question, and we've kind of moved the curriculum around and manipulated it a little bit so that everything is wrapped around a really big question that the kids can wrestle with and struggle with.
So today we're going to read this book. It's called Hanukkah Bear. Does anybody have a question that they want to ask already about this book? Why is there a bear on Hanukkah? Do you want to find out the answer to that question by reading this book?
Yes.
Would you like to write your question down on a Post-it note?
The questions sort of build upon one another. So at the beginning of the year, we were talking about community. What does community mean? What do you need in order for a community to work? Our essential question right now is, how do we decide what we need and want? And how do we get these things? They both talked about cars, and they both saw that image in a different way. Aviana saw it as a way to get something that you need, right? She saw it as a way to get the stuff that's super important, like food, because you need to have food and water and those things, right, so that you can survive. But then Adeline had a different take on that car. She thought, you know what, cars are not very good for environment. I know that because it uses a lot of natural resources and it emits a lot of pollution, and a lot of cars on the planet have caused some harm, right?
Then you could just use your car, but you shouldn't usually use it if you're just like going to your neighbor's house. You don't need a car at all.
So inquiry-based learning allows us to approach students in a differentiated model and to meet the students where they are as learners.